r/AskReddit, what's a conspiracy theory that annoys you due to how easily disprovable it is? Some dude I know swears nuclear weapons and related tech is all a lie. The Manhattan Project was just for show. We never nuked Hiroshima or Nagasaki, or any other test site afterward. Those cities were conventionally bombed and we made up the story afterward. I can't even begin to address the amount of people required to keep that secret is. Unbelievable. Not to mention that okay, the weapons are fake, but then how are we generating power from all of those power plants? That's all fake too. SMH. Edit. We are having fun, so here is more. Just remembered this dude also is skeptical about eclipses. He doesn't understand why the lunar eclipses don't happen more often. He thinks the shadow Earth makes should be the size of Earth, like a cartoon cutout. He doesn't equate how light spreads. Inverse square law. He also doesn't understand why the sun makes the sky blue but the moon doesn't. I tried explaining, but he says I have that bias of having a college degree in theatrical lighting, and therefore I only think I'm right. I forget what that term is, but I was out after that. Sometimes I don't know why I try. My friend really, truly believes that space is not real, that we are just living under a giant screen and Earth is an enclosed experiment being run by someone. It's flat Earth but up a degree. I don't get it. Flat Earth, it has been known to be a sphere for thousands of years. Newton calculated that it is wider at the equator without leaving his house. Why would the Earth be flat if other celestial bodies are not? What do they think NASA or whoever has to gain from lying to us? Edit. Whoa, holy Jesus, didn't expect this comment to become so popular. I have been getting notifications all day. Thanks for the awards. A good conspiracy is unprovable. I mean, if you can prove it, it means they screwed up somewhere along the line. Flat Earth is possibly the stupidest conspiracy theory of all time. Every other theory I can give at least 0.0000001% credence to, but this. There's literally no evidence at all. But not only that, why, in what world would this lie serve a purpose? Elon Musk tweeted the Flat Earth Society asking why they don't believe Mars is flat, and they replied with, Mars has been observed to be round, and Earth hasn't, you daft bastard. Any conspiracy theory that requires that a lot of people keep quiet about it, it's like Ben Franklin said, 3 may keep a secret if 2 are dead. JFK Jr. is still alive. Flat Earth, you can see the curve from a high vantage point or out in the ocean on a boat. You can see the curved shadow on the moon. You can see it. The Holocaust being fake. Being annoyed by that is putting it lightly. 5G caused the virus. Vaccines cause autism. Andrew Wakefield published fraudulent data. His medical license has been revoked. Everybody who barely looks into this can find that he's a liar who told a lie that ruined his professional life. Santa being fake. People who list all the ingredients in a vaccine and tell me how toxic they are, except if you actually look up the actual ingredients you see they are not as awful as their name sounds. In fact, most of them aren't actually the element or chemical anti-vaxxers say they are, because all they saw were words like aluminum and assumed we are pumping people full of aluminum. That I have to wait an hour before going in the pool after eating. Bullshit, Mom, bullshit. That vaccines are for putting nanotech chips into people for easier tracking. Why would Bill Gates need to mass produce some of the most advanced tech in the world to track you when he can already do that through your phone? Think, Mark, think. Jet fuel can't melt steel beams. Someone making this argument literally supplied me with the article on eutectic combinations that explained how it worked, but the person supplying the article never read past the first paragraph and thought it meant the opposite of what it was saying. That Jewish space lasers are responsible for California wildfires. You know, you could have just simplified the conspiracy to Jews lit American forests on fire. Oh yeah, and this person is in Congress of the United States. That we have never been to the moon. I honestly find the whole flat Earth one too easy. Like, at that point it's just such a cognitive split that it's pretty much just an indication of mental illness rather than a frustrating inability to follow logic. No, the one that pisses me off the most is the moon landings being fake. So, let me get this straight. You want me to believe that in 1960 the American government managed to fake a moon landing, with special effects shots that cannot be replicated even today, and that they either fooled the entire world for the last half century, or got them in on the conspiracy, including the Cold War era Soviet Union, You know, the other guys in space, the ones who were made to look really bad for being beaten to the moon, the ones who had the ability to independently verify the Apollo missions and who would have benefited tremendously from exposing an American hoax, though that's where most conspiracies fall apart, where you have to answer why all the people who need to support the conspiracy would do so. In this case though, it's basically the entire planet. Recently there's been a lot of people on TikTok saying Helen Keller wasn't actually deaf and blind. As someone who was fascinated by her as a child and researched her a lot, that really pisses me off. Vaccines cause autism/are dangerous. One paper by a disbarred doctor vs 100-something years of evidence that vaccines are effective at eradicating diseases, and all of a sudden measles and mumps are back, not to mention the problems with attaining herd immunity from COVID. The Holocaust never happened, or was greatly exaggerated, affected my family directly, and I got to grow up around women with number tattoos on their forearm. The Germans kept fastidious records of their atrocities, but somehow it's all made up. Might as well take a steaming dump in my mug and call it coffee. Sandy Hook being a false flag operation. As a school teacher with a parent that was in the medical field, the anti-vaccine movement, I'm not really talking about the parents that were traumatized because of their child's poor reaction to a vaccine and have sort of overcorrected. I feel like they still have hope of seeing the other side. I'm more so talking about the folks that are out there peddling that a mixture of lavender and mint oil will prevent your child from catching polio. The elites don't want you to know this, but the ducks at the park are free. You can just take them home. I have 27 ducks living in my house. People who think Australia isn't real, that every one of us is a paid actor and that the English never found land so they dumped the convicts in the sea. Like how the hell can people just not believe in a whole ass continent? Birds are government-controlled drones. That India had the first powered flight, VTOL/supermaneuverability, and interstellar crafts, 7,000 years ago. This was even presented at a scientific conference in 2015. Newest one I've seen is magnets stick to your vaccination site after you get the COVID vaccine because microchips, like anyone who got the vaccine can test it super easy. The two theories are people are really stupid or malicious. The really stupid theory is that they have a little bit of adhesive left after they take off the band-aid and thus can stick the magnet to it and are too stupid to figure out what's going on. The malicious explanation of course is they purposely put magnets on with glue. I know there's a saying about not contributing something to malice when it could be because of stupidity, but I'm torn on this one. I remember discovering that there's apparently a conspiracy theory that plate tectonics isn't real, and that Pangaea was broken up into the continents we know today by the Earth being inflated. Why? All of QAnon. The Obama birther conspiracy theory. I humored it when I first heard it. I love a good conspiracy theory, but then 2 seconds of Googling shows there was a birth announcement in the Honolulu newspaper the day he was born. The Shakespeare authorship question. What chiefly annoys me about it is that the anti-Shakespearean arguments are premised on the complete denial of the documentary record. William Shakespeare was the only man who was ever credited with writing his works in his own era, aside from the quarto of the two noble kinsmen properly crediting his co-author John Fletcher as well as himself, and the lost play Cardenio being credited as another Shakespeare/Fletcher collaboration in the Stationer's Register. In addition to the evidence of the quartos and the folios, we have the records of the Revels accounts and the Stationer's Register and the statements of his fellow authors like Francis Mears, John Webster, Ben Jonson, etc., etc., etc. All of this evidence has to be dismissed as a precondition to being an anti-Shakespearean, but they rely on the mainstream scholars to be more honest than they are, because if you used their wholesale dismissal of the documentary record against them, they'd be in no position to prove that their alternative candidates ever existed at all, let alone wrote anything. They know they can get away with arguing this way because nobody is going to make them justify the existence of Edward de Vere or Francis Bacon or Christopher Marlowe or whoever according to their own Calvin Ball rules of evidence. Foster parents are running human trafficking rings. In my area there's a loud group of people alleging that we foster parents are running a child trafficking ring. In reality, the reason kids who are in foster care end up in sex work or trafficked is because they have insecure attachments or have been abused and look for a person they think will love them and always be there for them. Unfortunately, predators are good with talking and lying. I don't know, this just hurts me so much. I can't imagine being on the other side of foster care and having my kids in custody, but I wish people would stop assuming foster parents are evil. The fact that the Roswell UFO that crashed in the farmer's yard was just a weather balloon and some microphones that the military was using to listen for Russian nuclear bomb testing. They didn't admit this at the time so the Russians wouldn't know about the technology. It was declassified in the late 80s and has been readily available for the public to read for over 30 years. My wife's co-worker literally believes the vaccine is a microchip that has an activatable strain of HIV on it, and doesn't want to get the vaccine because she doesn't know why it needs that. Why can't it just have the vaccine? Today she showed my wife a video of someone putting a magnet on where they were vaccinated and the magnet sticking to the injection site. My wife proceeded to find a magnet and show her that it does not stick to her where the injection was. But some people are helpless. That the moon is a hologram, the one we see anyway. My mom was an extreme conspiracy theorist at one point, and this was the worst one she believed for a minute. She thought NASA was mining on the moon and they were covering it up by putting a hologram over it so we couldn't see them doing it. Oh, and the one where she thought all celebrities were fake or something weird about that. My father believes that nuclear bombs are fake, but nuclear power plants are real. If you go to the beach and watch a boat disappear over the horizon, you should be able to figure out the world is fucking round. Paul McCartney dying and being replaced by a guy named Billy Shears/William Campbell. So just to be clear, Paul was replaced by a guy who looks like him, sounds like him, and is equally musically talented as him, and better. That John, George, Ringo, Jane Asher, and Jim McCartney all kept quiet about this, that the Beatles would leave clues in their songs and album covers, just because. That GMO is bad for you and can affect your DNA if you eat it, like, that's not how genetics work. Dinosaurs/evolution are not real. I work at a geologic and paleotourist destination and it's surprising how many folks refuse the existence of both because neither jive with their religious beliefs. Earth is only 6,000 years old. I try to respect religious beliefs but to deny physical evidence hurts. People deadass think there's a microchip in the coronavirus vaccine. The government does not need to put a microchip in a vaccine for a deadly virus to track you. There is a microchip in every electronic device you own. If the government wants to track you, they are doing so already. Get over yourself and get the goddamn vaccine so that everyone can get back to their lives. The Earth being flat, you can literally prove it is round with simple observations from the ground, and grade school trigonometry. The 9/11 jet fuel doesn't melt steel beams theory. I'm all for a good conspiracy theory, but this is the most blatant irritating one ever. Basic metallurgy dictates that yes, though the fuel isn't burning hot enough, the steel won't melt, but there is a catch. When you heat steel, it becomes as malleable as hell and be structurally sound as wet noodles. I wanna beat a fucker so bad when I hear that stupid jet fuel doesn't melt da beam esto, saying. Honestly, almost all of them fall apart for me just from the fact that so many people would have to be involved for them to work. There's just no way people keep secrets that long or accidentally leak information or just leak info on purpose. Most governments make huge mistakes all the time and are some of the best funded and most organized entities in the world, and they can't not get caught doing shit. Flat Earth. People living in the same era as dinosaurs. Vaccination causing autism. COVID-19 being made up by the government. Smoking is healthy. But maybe most annoying of all, Minecraft is a horrible and violent video game and has bad influence on kids. UG. Flat Earth is probably the correct answer, but the moon landing hoax theory is one that always frosts my balls due to how ludicrously easy it is to prove we went there. Flat Earth, just look up. Contrails. The best part about these is that people felt the need to make up a conspiracy about something when the truth is just as bad. Sure, what you are seeing is just frozen water vapor, but the water vapor is coming from jet fuel exhaust, which is also full of carbon dioxide. No need to add any further conspiracy. It is nasty enough without adding your stupid theories. Black Hebrew Israelites believe that the Jews basically stole conceptual Jewishness from Africans and their Christian-decked aunts. Their DNA usually can't be traced to the Levant though, so it's just rebranded anti-Semitic nonsense. Again, edit. Just to be clear, I'm not trying to criticize alternative spirituality or black culture, But I do think the anti-Semitic portion is both obnoxious and disprovable. Also arguing about the Bible outside of observance or scholarship. Get a fucking life. Anyone who does that, I think people should explore their spiritual side if they want, but why accuse Jews of stealing their own cultural identity from someone more deserving? Because Orthodox landlords in Crown Heights were a bunch of assholes. Even if that was universally true, that seems like bad reason. Just want to state again that I am deaf as much of a multiculturalist as I can be, but I'd be lying if I said this didn't annoy me cause it's in my neighborhood, in my face, like, fuck you, don't scream it into a bullhorn or microphone. I still think indoctrinating young white guys into supporting people like Trump and David Duke and Matt Gaetz and other white nationalists is a way bigger problem. That is, in fact, a serious national security issue. BLM and the fictionalized version of Antifa are fighting for justice in racial equity in a nearly failed state, or a state that had failed nearly all of us in some way. White supremacy is a big, urgent problem. They are just annoying, and that just my opinion cause of my neighborhood. I want to see people helping each other out, not exploiting each other's pain. I mean, the flat earth is a big one. People who claim masks don't do anything, and then say I don't wear them because it makes it hard to breathe, make me stare at them funny. Vaccines being super dangerous. Vaccine cause autism, what a joke. Moon landings being faked. I mean, come on, you really telling me USA managed to make 300,000 people lie all at the same time in the same way? The flat earth is the main one. The rulers of the world being humanoid reptiles is another, also the one where Bill Gates is using the COVID vaccines to implant microchips into the population. They all piss me off to some degree because they show how stupid large sections of our species are. That masks can cut off your oxygen. I have to go to the doctor a lot and they always test my oxygen, and during the pandemic it has been with a mask on. It has always been fine. The only time my oxygen has been lower than it should be is when I had COVID. Imagine that. Anything coming from Canon. My friends who are Democrats do not eat fetuses or worship Satan. I'm not affiliated with any political party. Kids being shipped via Wayfair. Kamala Harris gets high off of baby blood. Ellen is a hologram. That all rich people worked hard and earned their money and poor people are just lazy. I fucking hate that help the rich bullshit. Not a conspiracy exactly, but the theory that Gandalf the Grey was actually telling the Fellowship to fly to Mordor with the eagles always annoyed me. Archaic meaning, run away, flee, those that fly may fight again. The theory goes like this: when Gandalf says fly you fools as he is about to fall, this is supposed to be him saying fly, use the eagles. Turns out the Fellowship didn't listen. This theory is BS LOL. Flat earthers, they may as well wear shirts saying I am dumber than you, ask me how. Vaccines cause autism. This whole BS theory came about cause of one small BS study that was later proven to be BS to the point the doctor who did was stripped of his medical license. There have since been plenty of other much more in-depth / serious studies that found no link. However, of course, anti-vaxxers haven't let this BS go since the day it was first published. As someone who is autistic, this BS theory, along with the BS anti-vax ideas / opinions based on it, is not just annoying, it's basically a personal insult to me / autistic people. It's like the people that perpetuate this crap are so psychotically delusional that they act like they would rather risk their kids dying of easily treatable diseases than take the chance that they might live a life like I have. And just FYI, being autistic is not a death sentence / life-ending condition like not being vaccinated could be. There are many different disorders and they can affect people differently, to the point that while I'm sure anti-vaxxers only ever think of severe examples, the fact is others can be affected so minimally, or can compensate for their disorder so well, that you might not even know that a person is autistic at all. For example, in my case I'm very high functioning. I mean certain aspects / subjects in school were a bit difficult for me, and certain social situations still can be. But otherwise I have a fairly high IQ and I am able to work, drive, live on my own, pay bills, and have what would be seen as a normal life just like everyone else. So as such I really don't get how that is supposed to be a worse fate than dying young from a disease we have a cure for. The moon landing being faked. It's easier just to send a man to the moon than trying to fake it. Digital cell phone towers spreading a biological virus. You've made it through the whole video. If you enjoyed it, consider subscribing for more videos every day. I upload 2 videos every single day.